A year ago, I wasn't familiar with Linux, thinking this OS was creepy with some dark command prompts and an uncanny penguin. Until I tried it because a lot of requests from people in the comments, and I liked it. With that being said, I've recently noticed a big increase in Linux users and Linux propaganda all across the tech community. People have been telling their acquaintances, friends, and relatives to switch to Linux, literally telling every human being to do so. And when asked why, they simply say, it's better than Windows. For me, this kind of aggressive promotion without a single real explanation of how it's actually better than Windows or any other OS simply doesn't work. If anything, it just pushes people away even more. So today I don't want to do the same thing. Instead, just give me 10 minutes and I'll make you want to switch to Linux by yourself. Let's get started. Okay, I want to start with the simplest possible thing, privacy, which is better on Linux. Here's the thing, Windows, as you probably know, has a big problem with user privacy, and that's widely discussed among people. It's visible even when you install Windows on a brand new computer. It starts by forcing you to create a new Microsoft account, which is connected to OneDrive and a Copilot, and those collect data on your browsing habits, your shopping, and then show you ads based on that information, all while supposedly improving their products, which might just be another excuse from a big company like Microsoft. And this suspicion came from the fact that plenty of companies that have been caught selling their users' data. And even though Microsoft claims that they don't do that, it's hard to believe when companies can act like that behind people's backs. So it's kind of 50-50 situation. And further, I'll explain why. When it comes to Linux, it's open source code, which means anyone can inspect exactly what the OS sends and where. So there's no trust me bro buzzword involved. Instead, you're trusting code that thousands of people can and do audit. On top of that, there are no telemetry apps like OneDrive or Copilot collecting your data, and nobody forces you to create an account in the first place. But alright, here some people like you or even myself before might just say, who needs that? Nobody cares about my useless data. If you think like that, here you'd be making a big mistake by thinking that way. Because privacy is your freedom. Without privacy, it's like living in a house without doors or windows, or taking a shower naked in the middle of a mall. You might not realize it now, but you only truly appreciate it after losing it. On top of that, switching to Linux is free. Nobody charges you money for it. You just download an ISO file, install the OS, set up your desktop environment, and you're ready to go. Compare that to Windows, where Microsoft wants $200 for a license. Linux sounds attractive, doesn't it? And to be fair, here I'd be a bit inaccurate if I said Microsoft doesn't let you use Windows for free, because they actually do, but with a major limitation, which is a zero customization. On Linux, on the other hand, that's simply not an issue at all. Customization on Linux is one of its biggest strengths, offering deep customizations even deeper than the licensed versions of Windows. You can install your own desktop environment like GNOME, KDE, or Plasma, and they all look completely different from each other, whereas Windows locks you into just one standard Windows shell. And also, unlike macOS or Windows, on Linux, people customize their OS through written text configuration files. So sometimes people can literally copy someone else's desktop config straight from GitHub. Compared to that, changing your taskbar's transparency, its color, or your wallpaper on Windows is basically nothing. And honestly, you have so much freedom to do whatever you want that you could even start your own distro just by modifying the code of other Linux distros. By the way, that's exactly why there are thousands of Linux distros out there. And everything I've mentioned so far is just the tip of the iceberg. This stuff almost everybody already knows. But the next thing will really show you how superior Linux is compared to Windows. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is the performance of Linux nowadays. There's a test from foreignex.com where they tested the performance of a PC running Ubuntu versus Windows 11, and they discovered that Ubuntu performs better than Windows. I mean, the test results are drastically better for an Ubuntu. Look at this table. Here, when they tested cold boot time with the NVMe SSD on both operating systems, they noticed that Windows launches in 18 seconds, while Ubuntu launches in 11 seconds, which is a 7-second difference. They also tested on HDDs, and their Ubuntu won again, 25 seconds compared to Windows's 45 seconds, which is roughly twice the time. Next is RAM usage. They tested this on a 16GB RAM system, and the Windows system tasks were eating around 4.2GB, while Ubuntu was only using 1.1GB, which is also a huge difference compared to Windows. After that, they tested laptops, and again, Ubuntu won, scoring 9 hours of battery life against Windows 7 hours under heavy workload. And across almost every test, Linux came out ahead, except for one, API latency, which still doesn't make any sense. You won't notice the difference anyway. So basically, as you can see, the difference is too significant to even compare them fairly. Even the system requirements for Windows show that you need minimum of 4GB RAM space only to use it without any program running. which isn't the case for Linux. That only requires 2 GB in total. Even in terms of overall storage, any Linux distro only needs about 25 GB, while Windows needs around 64 GB. I'm guessing that's largely due to all its bloatware, because there is no other explanation for that gap. Now, if the performance is this good, what about gaming? Well, let me tell you about that. Alright, now here's a complaint people have been repeating for basically the past decade, that Linux just can't handle most games, mainly because it never really supported most gaming platforms properly. And honestly, that used to be true, but it's been gradually shifting, largely because people kept pushing back on it. And the real turning point came when Valve stopped in and basically took matters into their own hands. Because thanks to Valve, Linux distros now run about 90% of Steam's entire library at either Platinum or Gold ratings, meaning games either run flawlessly or with only minor hiccups that don't really affect gameplay at all. And that's largely thanks to Proton 9, that made it possible to launch Windows games on SteamOS. And remaining 10% are mostly games that use anti-cheat system running at the kernel level. Proton basically is this tool that lets Steam games designed for Windows run smoothly on Linux instead. And yeah, sure, games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Valorant, those still won't run on Linux right now. But things keep improving at a pretty insane pace. Just last year alone, Proton expanded Linux's playable game library from around 9,000 native titles all the way up to roughly 106,000 games. That's a 12x jump. And even the remaining holdouts might not stay locked out for much longer, because here's something genuinely interesting. Developers like EA, the company behind FC26 and the NFL games, are actually shifting their anti-cheat approach. They're bringing Javelin anti-cheat to SteamOS this year, which could open the door not just for those sport titles, but for Battlefield 1 and the Battlefield 6 too. So, as you can see, things are clearly changing, and I don't think this trend is going to stop anytime soon, because more and more users are choosing Linux over Windows, which used to be the only OS dominating the space. But I also have to point out another great aspect of Linux. Now let's talk about the fact that Linux is a very flexible OS for people. For example, compare that to macOS. It's a finicky operating system. It's not so easy to run on anything other than Mac computers. I mean, even though it's technically possible to launch macOS on a PC or a laptop with an Intel or AMD CPU, that doesn't mean it's easy, because Apple intentionally limits access to their OS. And some drivers simply aren't supported outside Apple's own hardware. So even if you manage to get it running, there will still be problems. Windows is similar. Though it's far more flexible compared to macOS, it still has some drawbacks. For example, you simply can't install Windows 11 on a system with an Alt TPM, which stands for Trusted Platform Module. This system is basically designed to secure your chip, but the thing is, Windows 11 requires TPM 2.0. And if your system has anything lower than that, you can't install Windows 11, only Windows 10 or lower. But that's also a problem, because any OS older than Windows 11 isn't supported by Microsoft anymore. So if your system is old, you basically run out of options, unless you switch to Linux. Because the thing is, no Linux distro requires TPM at all, so you can install it on virtually any system without a problem, even old systems that have no TPM whatsoever. Also, you probably know there are 3 dominant CPU architectures: ARM64 based ones, which are used in Apple's M series chips and Qualcomm CPUs, x86 and 64, used by Intel and AMD processors, and the last one, RISC-V, which is basically an open source instruction set architecture that allows anyone to manufacture and sell custom processors without paying licensing fees. And there are processors built on RISC-V, but here's the thing, only Linux is supported on RISC-V. You can't install either Windows or macOS on it. And on top of that, even if you're using Windows on x86 architecture, another big issue you'll notice right away is forced cumulative updates, which are mandatory. If you don't install them, Windows can force the update on you without your consent, which is honestly pretty annoying. And you never see that on Linux. You update when you need to, not when something forces you to. On top of that, each version of the OS supported for around 12 years on Linux, while on Windows it's usually closer to 10 years. Okay, I'd be fooling you if you only talked about the good sides of Linux. Even though this video is about convincing you to switch to Linux, I don't want to skip over the downsides. So let's talk about these two, so you can decide whether you can live with them before committing to Linux. Let's start with the fact that there is no Adobe Creative Cloud on Linux, which means no editing in Premiere Pro or After Effects, and no editing photos in Photoshop or any other Adobe program. You simply can't use them, because they are not available at all. If you're a consistent user of Adobe products, don't switch to Linux, there is no Adobe support. People edit videos on Linux with DaVinci Resolve with no issues at all. So if you still want to switch your OS, you have to be ready to switch your editing software too, which might be difficult at first. I generally suggest learning DaVinci first and then making the switch once you are comfortable with it. And the next issue is hardware support, and that one's kinda gamble. It can be tricky if you rely on a lot of software, for example for RGB lighting or adjusting settings for specific devices, because unfortunately some of that software just doesn't support Linux. So before switching, make sure to figure out whether the specific software you need is actually supported in Linux. And probably the last downside is slow learning curve at the beginning. Compared to other operating systems, Linux isn't exactly beginner friendly because you'll almost always need to use terminal commands to change something, or even to customize your desktop environment. If something breaks, say your Wi-Fi driver acts up, or your printer refuses to connect, as a new user coming from Windows, you're going to hit a wall called the terminal, which you'll eventually have to use. Managing Linux requires more technical literacy than Windows, because on Windows everything's already laid out, every troubleshooting guide is written on plain, while in Linux there is much less of that. And you should never blindly trust random commands from Reddit or anywhere else, because they can potentially destroy your entire OS. So if you're ready to take on that downside, then go ahead. Thanks for giving me these 10 minutes, thanks again for watching, and take care.